Welcome to the show, everyone. It's early in the morning on August 23rd, 2006, and we have a lot to talk about today. There's a lot to talk about in the world. The corporate media, they're not going to pay attention to any of it, but we have to stand up. Right now is the time because things are definitely going on. If you've been watching some of the corporate news in the past few weeks, you know very well that there's an ongoing crisis in the Middle East. There has been for years now. But now it's escalating. It's escalating to the point of war. It's escalating almost to the point of world war. The conflict between Israel and Hezbollah. Okay? 30-day conflict. Hundreds, maybe few thousand lives lost. And all for what, ladies and gentlemen? All for what? Now, we're in the middle of this little ceasefire right now, and they tell us, oh, there's peace, and it was just a little bit. You know, Hezbollah might be the victors and everything. But, you know, what is going on here? There's no peace in the Middle East, my friends. The media is on a little break right now, all right? The situation isn't all that exciting, so they're going to focus on John Benet Ramsey and what's that taxi's name? John Mark Carr, whatever. And they're just going to go on and on. That's going to be your top story. That's going to be your talking point. That's going to be your conclusion, and all your guests are going to come on and talk only about that to distract you from all the little things that are going on around the world right now. All the little things that you have to really try and pay attention to in the corporate media, because they're just putting them. They're in plain view, folks, but you got to really search for them. First of all, we had that conflict. The conflict's over now. We have these Iranian nuclear deadlines. Yesterday was the deadline. Yesterday, Iran set a deadline to come out and say if they would accept these packages or consider these incentive packages from the United Nations. They said they'll look at them, they'll look them over, and they'll think about it. But we here at the War and Apathy think they're just stalling. We're going to talk all about that a little later with my senior military analyst, Mr. Sean Muniz. But you know, okay, we have this conflict in Israel. We have Iranian nuclear deadlines. As mentioned on the show last night, we have war games going on all throughout the world. We have the United States involved in these war games, Russia, Iran, and North Korea. All the big world players are out there. You know? Doing what? God only knows, folks. And then it all leads back to we're just about a few weeks away from the tragic anniversary of 9/11. So, you know, you have to look at all these pieces and you have to put them together and see that big things are on the horizon. And there's no better time than now to get your ass off the couch, stand up, and do something about it. And that's what we're going to do here tonight. That's what we're going to do here every night on the War and Apathy.
I'm Hitler with this microphone. Put suicidal thoughts inside your dome.
And now, the Truth Nazi. Tonight, brought to you by Pat Buchanan, MSNBC political analyst, speaking on neocon conservative affiliate Fox News channel. There is not a single Western country where the native-born Western people are reproducing themselves. Birth rates in Europe are, in some places, are down to half of what is needed to reproduce themselves. Europe is in danger of being invaded from across the Mediterranean. Islamic peoples are coming, and they not only come from a different culture, they come from one that has been at war with the West.
Welcome back to the show, everyone. I'm going to bring on my senior military analyst, Mr. Sean Muniz, right now, and we're going to talk about Iran, the pressing issue of our day. Sean, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
The news all over the place is that the Iranians are now going to consider this incentive package given to them by the UN to halt their nuclear program. Your take on this?
Let's understand straight up, this is just a stalling tactic. Iran has no intention of giving up the nuclear program. It's a symbol of national pride for them. Yet, on the other hand, they are not planning on building a nuclear weapon. They can't feasibly do that for the next 10 years. That's the national security estimate put out by our country. So the question is, what are they doing this for? They know that crisis is coming, a conflict is coming, and they're just stalling for time.
Okay. So let's say the deadline goes by, this end of the month, August 30th, August 31st deadline. What happens then? What happens if they do stick up for their national pride and say, no, this energy program, this nuclear program is for peaceful purposes, not for weapons? What happens at that point?
Well, then at that point, the U.S. is going to push with economic sanctions.
Okay.
And then it becomes a question of whether they can convince Russia and China to get economic sanctions. Now, if they can get Russia and China along and they actually get these sanctions, then the next question is, what's the Iranians' response? How are they going to retaliate? They have three main forms that they can retaliate. The first would be an economic form. They probably have some kind of oil embargo. We could see oil prices shooting to maybe $150, potentially even $200 a barrel. Cripple the world economy.
Iran's got plenty of oil.
They have plenty of oil, and they ship a lot of it out every day. The second form would be starting a proxy war, just like the Middle East crisis, Lebanon versus Israel, will be another repeat of that. Perhaps in Lebanon again, perhaps in Iraq through using Muqtada al-Sadr's Mahdi militia, perhaps elsewhere, perhaps in Afghanistan.
Well, the corporate media would love that. It would give them 24-hour around-the-clock news, war coverage again, like we haven't had enough of that in the past month and a half.
The third option would be all-out war, in which case they attack U.S. targets locally in Iraq, in Afghanistan, perhaps even attacking Israel.
Okay, wow.
Now, more likely is that Russia and China will block sanctions.
Okay.
Then what happens then? In that case, the U.S. is going to take it the next step, just like they did with Iraq. And they will.
So they'll go before the UN.
Perhaps they'll start their own proxy war. Perhaps they'll attack Muqtada al-Sadr, as you mentioned earlier in the show.
Really?
Perhaps. They might initiate a full-blown invasion of Iran.
Not too far of a possibility.
Not too far of a possibility. It's been in the news. We're seeing it all the time. How are we going to do this? What are the tactics behind this? It will be a disaster for the U.S. And the last option would be a nuclear strike. And, ladies and gentlemen, if that happens, this is World War II.
If you ask me, we don't have enough troops to fight wars in Iraq and Afghanistan.
We're not even contributing to the Lebanese conflict because we don't have enough boots to be able to put them on the ground there. So we're complaining about France not giving thousands instead of only 400. How many soldiers are we giving to Lebanon? None.
Well, it sounds like all it's going to take is one more attack, and then, martial law, draft, and maybe we'll be in Iran fighting. Well, Sean, I want to thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, as always. So we know now that things are going down, and we have to do something about it. We can't wait until it's too late. We can't wait till there's another attack and some random terrorist organization is blamed for it. We can't wait until the president steps up and declares martial law all throughout the United States, tells us we don't have a constitution or a freedom of speech anymore. We have to stand up now before this happens, and we have to wake everyone else up. We have to wake up the American people and let them know that things are a-brewing all around us, and only with knowledge, only when we destroy apathy can we do anything about it. I'm Mike Metzger. Thanks for tuning in tonight, everyone. We'll see you around.